I'm Susan Rostow, creator of Akua Inks, and this is Christina Pumo, my assistant. And this demo is going to show you how to modify the inks and tips and tricks on using them. Akua Intaglio can be mixed with any other Akua Intaglio ink. They could be used right from the jar without modification, or you can modify them with the several modifiers that we have to offer. Akua liquid pigment can be mixed with any other Akua ink. This is the transparent base, and it is Akua Intaglio ink without any pigment. You can add the Akua liquid pigment into the transparent base.
It's like a nice way to tint.
So if you add ink to the transparent base, you'll knock down the intensity of the color. And that's really important when you're doing overlays. You want to use the flat side of the knife and smash it down.
So when you drag it out, kind of like a drawdown on your palette, it gives you an idea of how transparent the ink is going to roll.
Mm-hmm. It's always best to add the Intaglio ink to the transparent base.
Not vice versa.
Right.
Well, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Because you don't want to end up with too much.
Exactly. The Mag Mix is a soy base that contains magnesium carbonate powder. It's used to thicken the ink and add a little more body to ink. I use it for the Intaglio ink. It's not very compatible with the liquid pigment.
So the soy base acts as the vehicle kind of already being there?
Exactly.
How about we use the Carbazole Violet because it's nice and loose?
Perfect.
Looks like it kind of changes the color. How does that affect the print?
Usually when it dries, it goes back to its normal color. There we go. So now it stays on the knife. Hi, I'm Susan Rostow, and today I'm going to show you how to print monotypes with the Akua Pin Press. The plate that I'm using is a PETG plastic. I'm going to put my drawing underneath, and I'm going to use the drawing just as a guide. The consistency of the ink is really important. Akua Intaglio has a really nice soft consistency, just perfect for printing with the pin press. I'm going to add just a little bit of blending medium, which will help loosen the ink a little more so it does have a more fluid feel to it. Once I get the ink to the right consistency, I'm going to use a soft rubber brayer. The application should be a little heavier than printing with an etching press. The blending medium can also be used to do wash effects. Instead of putting it directly in the ink, I'm going to put it side by side and then use a brush. This would be like using water. It sort of softens it up and gives you a little bit of play tone. Or you could use Akua liquid pigment. So it's really important that before you use it, you shake it up so you can get a nice kind of gliding line. I can feel it pulling a little bit, and that's a sign that there's not enough blending medium in the ink, so it's a little dry. And now it's more fluid, there's no pulling. You want the ink to glide across without any resistance. I'm going to use a lint-free paper towel and clean up some areas and roll over them. You can clean off the table. Before I print, I want to check how even my table surface is. It's very important that the table is totally flat. The roller on the pin press is machine tooled so it is totally even. So in order to check to see if my table is flat, I'm going to try to get a piece of paper to go between the roller on the other side. If that piece of paper goes through the press, then I know the table has a buckle in it. This seems just right. The paper that I'm going to use is super smooth. If I wanted a grainy looking print, I would use a grainy paper, but I want a smooth surface on my print. Printing with the pin press, you want to start by placing the pin press in the center of the plate, and then with gentle pressure, go back and forth until I know that the ink and the paper are sticking together. And then once I feel confident, then I'm going to use a little more pressure and then roll off the edge of the plate. You hear it going off the edge? You can go in two different directions, or you can go in a diagonal. Okay, I think that's it. I'm ready to check the print. I'm going to place the pin press on the edge of the table and hold my hand just in case I feel like I need a little more. There's a lot of ink left on that plate. I can make another impression called a ghost print. In order to get a really good ghost print, I'm going to use release agent and roll it out with a clean brayer. So I'm going to keep recharging my brayer with the release agent so I'm sure that it's an even coverage to get a really fantastic ghost print. Let it sit for about 3 to 5 minutes. Because the ghost print is so delicate, I'm going to use a mulberry paper, which is also very light and delicate. I'll pick up the pin press again and repeat the same process. This is the first demo print, and this is the ghost print. This is a print I previously printed with the pin press, and I want to add some finishing touches. So I painted black intaglio ink on a piece of acetate, and I'm going to flip it over and place it on top. With the pin press, you can print as far as you can go. It doesn't smash the print as much, so that when you want to do a top roll, it kind of leaves the ink a little more on the top surface without pushing it too far into the paper. All right. Sometimes the ink might look a little more glossy, or it may have a more velvety kind of look. Great. All right, Christina, do you want to do the brayers and I'll do the brushes? I'm going to use the pink soap full strength on the brushes. You could use the watered down pink soap.
Sure. Do you want to keep the ink out?
If you're sharing a studio, you can't really leave your palette out on the table like I do. So in that case, what I do is I scrape up all the ink and I put it into one empty jar. And then when I go to use it, I mix it up, and then I have a surprise color. I kind of call it my parfait of ink.
Let's make sure we wipe down the jar.
Cleanup is an amazing feature for Akua inks. You don't have to clean up in a hurry, and cleanup is quick with a dry rag, some liquid dish detergent or Speedball pink soap. Oh, we also need some powder to sprinkle on the brayers for storing. Okay.